There used to be a time when know, like, and trust was all the rage in the wedding industry education space. So, for those of you who are wedding photographers, I'm sure you remember a time when that was all everyone would talk about. That's people who give business instruction and business education in the wedding space. They will talk about how you need to be known, liked, and trusted. So everything in your business was supposedly had to be built around that. So if you were a wedding photographer, that was the goal: know, like, and trust. Get people to know you, to like you, and to trust you. The same with event planners, because I came across some material that was geared towards event planners. I'm not sure what the I'm not sure what the general thrust has been for makeup artists and for cake people, because I don't quite follow those. I don't quite follow business education in those spaces, but I wouldn't be surprised if they also had some semblance of know, like, and trust as well. And by the way, I'm talking about a long time ago, maybe close to let's say between 5 and 10 years back. And know, like, and trust was also a gospel that was popularized by people in the blogosphere, and even the podcast movement. We had this guy, Duct Tape Marketing, for instance. He was a very strong proponent of know, like, and trust, and the whole idea of thought leadership on the internet as a way of securing more business. By the way, the Duct Tape Marketing podcast is still going on strong. He still blogs, and I'm not sure if he still releases his books and other education material, but I think it's a good place to start if you don't have a regular what would I say, if you don't have a someone regular that you follow about these sorts of things, about business education and things like that. I think that's a nice general way to start. That's the Duct Tape Marketing podcast and his books and things of that nature. Okay, so obviously today, know, like, and trust is going to be the central thing that I would like to discuss today. Now, in my opinion, know, like, and trust is a useful framework, but it still leaves a lot to be desired. There's still more to the picture that we don't explore. Like I said, the foundation of know, like, and trust seems to be aiming for the pinnacle of being a trusted advisor or being a preferred vendor. So trusted advisor status, preferred vendor status, those are the sorts of things you should be aiming at, and those are essential to growing your sales as a wedding industry professional. And to that extent, I agree, because from the different sales frameworks that we've discussed here on the podcast, you'll agree that being a trusted advisor or being the preferred vendor enhances your credibility. So if you can do stuff like that in person or over the internet or with whatever marketing collateral that you use, it's a good idea and you ought to give it a shot. Especially since, apart from enhancing your credibility, it will also lead to lowering sales resistance, or what I call apprehension. It'll remove apprehension from the sales process. So you have a bride and a groom before you, and you seem like you're a trusted advisor as a photographer, or you seem to have preferred vendor status as a wedding planner. It'll make the apprehension less, and they'll be able to listen to you to see what you bring to the table and have that wonderful conversation about how you can be a part of setting up their wedding. So yes, it's absolutely true that know, like, and trust is a very useful framework. It's a very useful framework for moving us towards the goalpost of increasing our profits. Now, it's absolutely true. Well, except, like I said, there's more to the picture. Know, like, and trust does not have enough as a framework to get you, the wedding practitioner, to have the right tools to move everyone over the finish line. It just assumes that if we establish know, like, and trust, trusted advisor status, preferred vendor status, then that will be enough for people to start throwing their checkbook at us and making transfers left, right, and center. Now, there is a whole lot more to it than that because you can be the trusted advisor and the preferred vendor, but for some reason, the bride or the groom or the parents of the bride and the groom or Uncle Kunle or Auntie Kemi or whoever it is you're negotiating with doesn't just seem to make that next step. So, know, like, and trust doesn't necessarily mean that you know how to persuade or to communicate value. So, people can still see that, well, you're a trusted advisor, your preferred vendor, so what? Without having a communicative framework for communicating value and for asking questions that show dissatisfaction or show the promise of working with you, you're not going to be able to get to the root of why people take action in the first place. And that's the reason why I think even though old frameworks like Know, Like, and Trust are very useful, we have to go beyond that and look for a more wholesome communicative framework that not only teaches us how to set ourselves up so that people can so that we enhance our credibility. We also need the framework to be able to guide us through what the key things are that we need to touch, expose, prod on, so we can get people to take the action that we need. So, Know, Like, and Trust also has an assumption. There's an implied assumption in Know, Like, and Trust that I don't quite like, and that I think has led wedding industry practitioners astray for a long time. So the Know, Like, and Trust framework assumes that inbound is all you need. So it assumes that all you have to do is to make yourself look pretty, and all the business you need is going to flow to you. And of course, the emphasis on that in the past has often been led at the doorstep of things like online marketing, branding and promotion, etc., using those as tools to drive sales. Now, those disciplines and those tools are very useful and a good way to drum up business, but that is not all it is that you need. In fact, depending on the business that you're involved in or the category of what you're involved in the wedding space, it might actually be a mistake to restrict yourself only to online marketing, online branding, online promotions, and stuff like that. Basically, what I'm trying to say is KLT is nice, but sometimes it tricks people into believing that all you need is Instagram, all you need is your website. What else? Instagram and your website and the wedding blogs. Yes, I have met some people in the past that have been able to drum up business exclusively from those sources, but that is not the typical tale of everyone. So let's not get drawn into the promises of KLT that by KLT I mean Know, Like, and Trust. So let's not get drawn into the promises of KLT that if we make ourselves nice and pretty and we're the darling of the internet, then we're going to get all the business that is due to us. The average business owner, the average small business owner, which also includes those of us who are starting out in the wedding industry space, we have to learn a little bit of legwork, a little bit of phone conversations, email conversation techniques, things like that. And that is what is traditionally referred to as outbound. So that's also another failing of the KLT framework. It just kind of assumes that outbound is not important and outbound is going to be key. And in the previous episodes, it's something that I've been trying to stress and that I'm going to reiterate here again. Now, these things are not mutually exclusive. They feed off of each other. So being good in one is going to yield results. It's going to yield results, transferable skills, techniques, and things like that you can now plow into the other. So let's say you're a Know, Like, and Trust disciple, or rather you used to be a Know, Like, and Trust disciple, and you were really good with your online marketing, with your branding, with your online promotions, your website, your Instagram, you're good with Bella Naija and all that stuff. Now, typically what would happen is, yes, the phone would ring and maybe you would get 20 to 30 brides calling you. In fact, it's something that I experienced early in my wedding practice. I've only been on Bella Naija twice, but I remember the first time that I was on Bella Naija, it's quite the thing to behold. I'm not sure about what sway it is that Bella Naija holds over the market right now, But back in the early days, let's say about 8 years ago, for a photographer to be on Bella Naija was actually huge, was impressive, because I remember having about I think I received close to 20 phone calls. From there, narrowed it down to about 4 serious conversations, and the weddings seemed to be a bit away. But since I wasn't good since all I had was the KLT framework in my mind at the time, and I didn't know anything about sales frameworks and sales conversations. I didn't know the bit about getting people to take the next step. And of course, then I had a little bit. There was too much hubris going on in my head at the time, and so even though my mom, who was a more consummate business professional, kept telling me that yes, these weddings are 3 months out, they're 6 months out. You need to collect a deposit. You need to lock it in. My response at the time was, I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to be salesy. All these things leave a bad taste in my mouth. And unfortunately, my mom's prediction came to pass. Slowly but surely, for the 4 or 5 brides that were serious contenders, things would happen. Or the groom found somebody else, this person's younger brother, another person, Uncle so and so wanted to gift me photography, and on and on and on, and the excuses just kept on coming in. And so what should have been a promising debut on Bella Naija turned out to be a very big flop for me. Not because of Bella Naija's fault, but because of mine. I just assumed that KLT was all you needed, know, like, and trust. You didn't need to learn sales or anything else, and so everything just fell out of the funnel. So when you are good at KLT, but then you're also looking at sales frameworks, and you're learning other things like discovering what it is that is of most value to the bride or to the groom, and then ways to get them to make the next step, you're actually able to close a whole lot more of business that comes in through KLT. So KLT is not to be dismissed. It's just supposed to be married with other communicative, other sales, and other persuasive frameworks. There's a whole lot out there, so just take your pick. I'm currently reading a book called Persuasion, and it's about it's the second book, was the second in the series that was written by, I can't remember this fellow's name. He wrote the book on influence. So, well, from the title, I guess you can figure out what the whole point of the book is. You're just basically trying to see how you can set people up to be more open and amenable to your message and to taking the next step. So, bottom line I'm trying to say is that, let's say you're a disciple of Know, Like, and Trust, and that's all you've ever known, and you also happen to pick up a book like Influence or Persuasion or whatever it is out of the market, then you're made a whole lot more richer by trying to marry the two together. Number one, you're trying to be the beautiful darling on the internet so that you can be the trusted advisor and you can be the preferred vendor. And then you also have this framework on the other end, which tries to educate you as to how you can make people go over the goalpost and to secure the deal. So that's just the summary of that's just a summary of what I came to say here today. That in trying to improve sales, you should look for frameworks that not only make you look good, but also show you how to solve sales problems, how to communicate value, how to show the promise of working with you, and how to get people to move over and take the next step. So, Know, Like, and Trust, extremely valuable, but there's a whole lot more to the picture that we need to consider. Thank you very much, guys, for listening to the Sales for the Nigerian Wedding Industry podcast. I'm your host, Abuja-based wedding photographer, Tavishima Ayede. Thank you very much for listening. I'll be in touch with you guys again at the next episode. Questions, comments, or inquiries, hit me up on email, ayede.taver@gmail.com.